Okay, so it's now time to write some code. So let's say we want to use this CatFacts very simple API. We just want to incorporate a CatFact into our app. So how do we write the code to do that? Okay, so let's go ahead and open up a new snack. So I've got a new, pristine, brand new snack open up here. I'm calling it Building an API. Now this is just a starter skeleton code that it always gives us. So what I always like to do is I always like to clear this out and just start fresh. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select all. This is my app.js file. Just going to delete it. Now it's going to have a fit on the right here. You see the red because there's no code for it to compile and run, but we're going to fix that in a minute. Okay, also going to go into the components folder, and there's a component already there. I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to delete. Okay, so let's get rid of that. And the assets, it gives us this kind of Rubik's Cube looking GIF, so I'm going to delete that as well. So I'm going to start with a brand new, fresh, clean slate app. Okay, nothing there. Okay, so let's go back to our app.js file and let's start building some code. So remember our three parts. The top part's the imports, the middle part's the main function, and the last part, the third part, is the styling. So let's do our standard imports. So we have to import React from React, being careful about all the punctuation, single quotes, semicolon, and capitalization. Okay, and let's import also some basic core components. We're always going to need a view, and let's also assume we're probably going to need a text because we're going to display some text, our cat fact. And let's also bring in a button. We'll probably want to have a button that the user has to press in order to get a new cat fact. From React native-native. Okay, so let's pull in our basic things. Let's set up our basic function. Export default function, capital A app, no parameters, so empty parentheses, and opening curly brace. Okay, inside the function, we've got to have a return statement. We're going to put parentheses around it, just like in math, to group stuff together. And inside that return statement, let's just put an empty view for now. So we have our opening and closing tags for the view component. For now, let's not worry about styling, so I'm going to leave the third section blank. Okay, so now the simulator on the right here, the emulator on the right here is happy. There's no red there. And now I've got some code there. There's nothing there, nothing interesting at least, but at least there's code there, and so it's happy. It's displaying some stuff, which is a blank canvas. Okay, now when we want to hit an API, we've got to include some extra libraries. In fact, one library in particular. Okay, so let's go back up to the import section. So remember, this is a section if you find any external libraries of code that you want to use in your app, this is where you would pull it in. Okay, so before you can use it in your main function to do stuff, you got to pull it in through the import section. So the one we want to use is called Axios. So I'm going to write an third import statement. I'm going to say import Axios, A-X-I-O-S, from, and then in single quotes, React-native-Axios, end quote, semicolon. Okay, so now what you see is it's still upset because it doesn't know where to find this external library, React Native Axios. See how it's underlined in red? See that red, underline it. And if you look on the bottom, where this red bar is here, there's an error message. React-native-Axios is not defined in dependencies. Okay, so the problem is that it doesn't know where to find that code. So we've got to tell it where to find it or to include it specifically. So whenever you include a new library like that with an import statement, you're always going to get this red. You're always going to get this error. But all you need to do to resolve it is see how this add dependency down here at the very bottom on this red bar in the bottom. See how it's clickable? If I just click on that, it just takes care of it itself. Okay, so see how now that's gone. So what it actually did, if you want to know what's happening behind the scenes, in your package.json file, if we go there, you'll notice that there's, and I don't know if you pay too much attention to this, but This is the file that tells it all the stuff that it needs to include. And it has a new line there, line 5, React Native Axios. So it lists out all the packages, all the external libraries, all the outside code that it needs to bring in to do its job. And there's that new so-called dependency. It depends on that code because you put it in the import statement. And there it is. So now we included it. Okay, so now we're all set. Okay, so once you do that, then you're ready to write some code to actually pull in the cat fact. Okay, so we'll take a look at that in our next module.